Hi, my name's Tate Putman. I'm a senior here at School of the Ozarks on the College of the Ozarks campus. And my question is, we hear a lot about separation of church and state and prayer being prohibited in public schools. Where does that idea come from, and how has it been twisted from its original meaning?
Tate, that was a great question on separation of church and state, where it came from and what has it evolved into. To get an answer to that, we have to zoom out and look at Europe. Europe was all Catholic, and then there was a Protestant Reformation, and Northern Germany and Sweden were Lutheran, Switzerland, Calvinist, Scotland, Presbyterian, Holland, Dutch Reformed, England, Anglican, and Italy, Spain, France, Austria, Poland, state Catholic. But if you didn't believe the way your king did, you were persecuted, you fled, and some of the people fled to America. And every colony was started by a different denomination. Virginia was Anglican, Massachusetts was Puritan, Rhode Island was Baptist, Maryland Catholic, Pennsylvania Quaker, Connecticut, New Hampshire Congregationalist, and Delaware and New Jersey were originally Swedish Lutheran. And they did not get along. But then they had to work together against the King of England during the Revolutionary War. After the Revolution, their attitude changed to, we may not always agree on religion, but you were willing to fight and die for my freedom. So at the time of the Revolution, 98% of the country was Protestant, 3 million people, 1% Catholic, about 30,000, and 0.1% Jewish, about 3,000. There were only 7 synagogues in the whole country, and Catholics originally were only allowed in 3 of the states, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and a little bit New York. And so I read through every one of the state constitutions, and in 1776, 9 of them required office holders to be Protestant to hold office. 3 said all you had to do was be a Christian. 1 had 0 religious requirements, Rhode Island, founded by Baptists, and they said if you required someone to be a Christian and they weren't, they could say they were just to get elected, and that would be hypocritical. So just vote for the best Christian person you know. And then, in the early 1800s, Irish potato famine, millions of Irish Catholics came to America, and the Catholic percentage went from 1% to 20% in a decade. So you had a backlash between the Catholics and Protestants, but then it settled down, and many states changed their constitutions from requiring you to be a Protestant to just a Christian. And then there's a persecution of Jews in Bavaria. 250,000 Jews come to America. They go from 0.1% to 1%. And then the tolerance goes out to anyone who believes in God. And then it goes out further to those that were secular humanists and atheists. And eventually the tolerance went out to the Satanists and Islamists. And the last ones in want to kick the first ones out. So everybody's tolerated in America except the Christians that founded the country. And one of the items that we look at is court decisions. So originally the founding fathers discussed the First Amendment, but then you had evolution in the middle 1800s, and someone named Herbert Spencer wanted to apply evolution to other areas of academia, and finally it got into Harvard with Christopher Columbus Langdell. And he invented the case precedent theory of law. Instead of going back and seeing what the founding fathers wrote, you just evolve the meaning, and so you have 2 different kinds of justices that have come out of that. One that wants to stick with the meaning of the founders, and the other that wants the Constitution to evolve. So you begin to see them evolving to have religion just not be for Christians and Jews and anybody that believes in a monotheistic God, but it keeps going out until it's turned, till everybody's tolerated except the Christians that founded the country. But there's a recent case in 2022 where Coach Kennedy was kneeling voluntarily after a football game, and they sued to stop him, and he lost his job, but then it went to the Supreme Court, and they passed the Bremerton case, where now it's legal again to pray in public schools. And then there's the Good News Bible clubs that are on public schools. And then there's LifeWise, which is going back to a 1952 Zurich case. And this allows for an hour a day at school where kids can get on a bus and go to a church, and they can get biblical instructions during the school day. And so it's something that it's in there, and we're finally rediscovering. This is important for us to understand that the country was founded by Christians of different denominations, wasn't founded by Muslims trying to figure out how to tolerate non-Muslims. It wasn't founded by atheists trying to figure out how to tolerate non-atheists. It was founded by Christians that didn't get along. But then they had to work together against the king during the Revolution. And then after the war, they learned how to tolerate each other. And then they broadened that tolerance out to all Protestants and Catholics and Jews and anybody of any religion. And so the idea is that this country has some basic beliefs that there is a creator who gives us all rights equally, and he is not a respecter of persons. Hope that is a good answer to your question. God bless.